O'Toole from the Mass Patient Advocacy Alliance.
And then on the phone?
It's pretty hard to hear on the phone. I don't know if anybody else is having problems with this Lydia assistant. Don't speak of it.
Why don't you move that over here? We'll probably do most of this.
Yeah, great. There's a lot of,
so we're going to move you close. We're going to move you closer to me, so you hear me. And if you have any questions, I can repeat what's being said in the room. Can you hear me?
that's awesome.
You can hear better now. All right.
Okay.
All right. Good. Okay.
This is Ray Berry, White Line Brewing.
Welcome, Ray.
Thank you.
And
Jamie Lewis, Coldwater.
welcome, Jamie. And I thought we had a third person. Yes, no?
Is Lydia on the line?
Lydia.
Yeah, this is Lydia assistant Milton Gray.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
One of you.
Terrific. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're going to start off by taking a look at the meeting minutes. Does everyone have a copy of those minutes? Or have you had a chance to review them in advance of the meeting, which I have? All right. Unless there is an objection, do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to
Motion from Horace.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone no? Anyone abstain? And there's one abstain, and that's me, because I wasn't at the last meeting. All right.
No, they have to do it individually.
All right, so on the phone, can we have each of you vote individually?
Ray Berry and me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm forgetting the rules. So Ray voted affirmatively. Lydia? She abstained?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that you said?
I vote yay.
Yay, okay. And so it was Ray, Lydia, and Jamie.
Jamie, aye.
Okay. And I'm just informed that we each have to vote individually, so we'll go around the
Mary
table.
Ann Page, aye.
Aye. Linda's aye.
John LeBeau, aye.
R. Small I. Michael O'Toole, aye.
And Chris Harding abstain. All right, good. Let's move on. Okay, give us a quick update. What's happening from the CCC's perspective?
Great, thank you. So just a quick update. I wanted to just talk about what licenses have been approved and where we are with that, and then talk about the regulatory timeline that we approved yesterday at our meeting. So as of this time, 99 provisional licenses have been approved, and that's 32 retailers, 32 cultivators, 29 product manufacturers, 1 micro business, 2 transporters, 3 independent testing laboratories, and we have 26 final licenses approved, 16 of which have actually commenced operations. So 9 retailers, 8 of which who have commenced operations, 7 cultivators, 3 of which who have commenced operations, 7 product manufacturers, 3 of which who have commenced operations, and 2 testing labs, both of which have commenced operations, and 1 transporter who has not commenced operations yet. So that's the licensing. And
A lot of progress.
we're
A lot of
trying.
progress. Yeah.
We have a great team at the commission. We're very lucky to have a bunch of hardworking team members. So yesterday at our meeting, we discussed a regulatory timeline, which is obviously important for you all as you help us make recommendations towards any regulatory changes. So in January, we're going to start essentially having the staff look at regulatory changes that may be necessary to the feedback that we've received. We will be sending invitations to listening sessions and soliciting feedback from stakeholders. We will then move on to February, where we are going to have listening sessions, somewhat similar to what we did when we were initially drafting legislation, and then start drafting proposed regulatory changes for both adult use and medical. In March, we will continue to do stakeholder meetings and solicit feedback, continue drafting changes, and then in April, we are going to have at a commission meeting draft regulatory changes proposed, begin the public comment period, In May, the public comment period will be open, and we'll have 2 public hearings, one in different parts of Massachusetts. And then in June, we plan to have final regulations presented back to us at the commission, and ultimately, hopefully, filed with the Secretary of State's Regulations Division for publication in the Register.
Boy, that's a lot. Okay, you guys have been very busy.
And we are going to keep working hard. And I would like to welcome to the room Commissioner Title.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, we're getting a late start, so we were literally just getting started.
Really?
This
Yeah.
much.
Oh, that worked out perfectly.
It did, but welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then actually, if you don't mind, what I would love to do, because I was just about to talk about what Commissioner Title announced at the meeting yesterday with regard to social consumption, because I know that is going to be a topic
That is.
of discussion. So sorry to jump just as you walk in the room, but if you don't mind, I think it would be better coming from you than me.
Sure,
So-
sure. So yes, we announced at the commission meeting yesterday, we are moving forward with a social consumption working group that will be made up of commissioners and local officials who are committed to thoughtfully implementing a social consumption program in their locality. And so our staff sent out a letter to, I don't have the list in my mind, but it's mayors, councilors, selectmen, health officials, and others who would like to join. And that group will be developing a framework for a pilot program that will be considered by the commission on the same schedule as the other regulations.
How large will that group be? Because if you set communications to all the mayors, selectmen, council, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of people. So are you limiting the size of that?
That's a great question. So I anticipate it will be 10 to 15 people.
Okay.
And if there is more participation that can fit in the group, then the commission will strive to ensure geographic and demographic diversity on the.
Terrific. Good. Well, it's good to hear, and I think we will have some recommendations coming out of this this group to that for that group. So wonderful. Anything else, commissioners?
Not for me.
All right. Well, thank you. So, without further ado, our next topic is to discuss social consumption recommendations. We are fortunate to have 3 members of our group work together to come up with a set of recommendations which we can discuss today. The way we have done this, people may recall, we kind of present the issue at hand. We talk about some of the pertinent facts, and then the recommendations. We'll discuss those as a group, and then we will vote on those before we leave today. All right, so with that, I think, Michael, you're going to walk us through.
I guess I'll give it a start.
Thank you.
So, meeting with Horace, I did speak with Jamie as well, Jamie Lewis. We came up with kind of some recommendations. We had limited time, but we were able to pull these together. So, one of the first issues that we wanted to bring up was the actual draft regulations that came out in December 2017, which were an excellent starting point for regulating social consumption. So the first recommendation here is essentially saying when drafting these regulations, the Commission should work with the draft social consumption regulations developed in December of 2017 by the Cannabis Control Commission, kind of as a starting point, and then I refer to the appropriate sections of those draft regulations, and I did provide a copy of that. I think Ellen sent along the draft regulations from December 2017, and a passage from those regulations here kind of defined a social consumption establishment as an establishment that may purchase marijuana from licensed marijuana establishments and sell single servings of marijuana to consumers for consumption on the premises. I think a lot of the concepts there that we went over in the original process